Anubis
Oh,
for
yes.
some reason.
Uh-huh.
Now, what I saw was there was two of them. Okay, we got to tell everybody what we're talking about. This is the pre-show conversation. So
Pre-show combo.
yeah, so these last, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I've been, well, okay, the last 3 days I've been, I get drowsy and I got to lay down,
Yes.
and I'll either go to sleep or I'll be in that state in between, right?
Uh-huh.
And last night I was really tired. It was only about 10 o'clock, and I just couldn't stay up. I had some friends were going to call that I wanted to talk to. I was going to probably talk to Morgan again, and I don't know. I turned my electronics off and I went to sleep, and I don't normally do that. And then, well, I didn't go to sleep. I'm laying there and there's all this activity going on in the room. I'm like, hey man, can y'all wait till Morgan gets back? I don't want to be doing this by myself. But for some reason, I knew it was just like some type of code exchange or activation or something. But it didn't have and I said that to myself. Yeah, this doesn't have a galactic feel to it. It has an organic feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stuff going on in the room. I thought it was like blue avian, but I didn't see any blue. So I said it wasn't galactic. And so it ended up being like an Egyptian kind of thing with this serious thing going on. But it was Egyptian, very Egyptian with the long heads. And there was two of them. And they were about 30 feet tall, 33 feet tall, man. And,
I'm getting offset. That's what I'm feeling.
Offset? I don't know any of those.
Offset because those themes are very familiar to me. A lot of Egypt over the years, and there was a lot of activation just this past week, so that makes sense.
Well, my friend, our friend from here in Kauai, who we met doing a show, Morgan set a show up with her, and then it turns out she's like, "Oh, I'm a mile and a half from you." Jennifer Victoria Bell. She's in Egypt right now. She's in Egypt right now, and she's been sending back some incredible pictures. So I don't know. I guess everything's related, but like last night when that happened, I was just like, okay. I wasn't scared, and I don't normally get scared, but the energy was so intense before they even showed up. Those two figures showed up.
Yeah,
it was so intense. It was mind-boggling. I mean, the room wasn't a room. My eyes were wide open. There was all this stuff going on. And I had that whole process of, okay, it's not galactic. It's very organic. And then it was like something in between. So inner earth type. I don't know. It was just.
There's a lot of inner earth, which was what I shared last week about dragons and the whales. And
that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah,
let's talk about that. Yeah, and I just want to say this too. What I received, and this is just my own personal thing, and I've always just tried to put my own personal thing out there, just to try to help anybody. But it, like the last 3 days, or maybe 4 nights and 3 days, everything I've received has kind of had this tone of something's coming, something's imminent. We're getting you the final codes. We're cleaning you out. We're realigning the last part of the DNA. Whatever you want to put it, however you want to say it, and it's all good. It's all good. But it seems to me to be very intense, not in a bad way, but like it's we're sprinting down. It's like the end of a marathon, and we're sprinting at the end to go through the tape, right?
That's about right.
So welcome back. Welcome back, Valerie, to SOULSPEAKS 5D. If these shows resonate with you, please share so we can stay above the algorithms at Facebook. And thank you all, because we've been doing a pretty good job. It's usually 50 to 100 in here, which when they were really doing it before, we couldn't get 15. But and the replays have been great. And thank you for your continued love and support and contributions. So we got Valerie back today, a really cool soul sister. We're going to talk about, as far as I know, we're going to talk about dragons. And we're going to talk about whales.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about inner earth and whatever else you want to talk about. And I got to tell you, the dragons obviously have been real big lately for me and other people. The whales just came in a couple of days ago, and it was weird that you said that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Here we go again. And of course, inner earth, I don't know, seems to be slowly, steadily, deliberately making its presence known in our lives. So you
In
take it
many
from
ways. In many ways. Beautiful.
there.
Everybody.
What do you know about Inner Earth? What can you tell us? What's the latest intel? How are homeboys and
Of
homegirls
course,
doing down there?
unicorn. Yeah, unicorn wanted to be present. So here we go.
There you go.
This is for Hani. Hi, Hani. So inner Earth, just like the surface of Earth, is an entirely different domain. It has its own frequency. It has its own, races, including ET races. I have a very strong connection with Lemuria in Hawaii. And a lot of the original Lemurians ended up going underground. And that would be in Mount Shasta, where I had that profound dragon experience. But it's an entirely different ecosystem, within. And that started coming into my awareness many years ago because of the ancient civilizations, because I started to really dig. And then realized that I had a very, very much connection to Inner Earth, lifetimes in Inner Earth, and really a calling originally to Shasta, from Telos, from underneath Mount Shasta. And so, like you said, we're in a final activation of those people, those frequencies. Many of us carry that innate knowing that there is entire civilizations underneath or inside. And I look at the holes in Antarctica. That's something that's come up many times, and also within my own universe about Antarctica and what's underneath that ice, and what is the disclosure that we're all being prepared for is connected to that. So
I'm glad you said that, because I haven't talked about this too much. I've been telling Morgan for 3 years since I've known her. Like, so when I met her, I just knew just a couple, 2, 3 things. One, I knew her.
Yeah.
I knew South Australia. Like, I could be there in an instant, like no other out of body I've had, or whatever you want to call it, by location. And I also knew my path. I didn't know what the hell anything else, because I was so shadowed, but I knew that it was Hawaii, Australia, and Antarctica. And she keeps saying, well, you can go by yourself because I don't do the cold. But what I'm seeing is not that. And what I'm seeing is, and I don't know if it's metaphoric, but what I'm seeing is that what we consider Antarctica, the South Pole, the bottom of the world, or whatever, is not what we think. And I'll even go so far to say, without having to get into any kind of debate, round, hollow, flat, and all that, that we have been like everything else. Why would it be different about the shape of the globe, or of the Earth, or what Antarctica is, if everything else, and it follows suit with everything else that's been massaged and propagandized and all that. But my point is, I feel the same thing you do in regards to the rest of our stories are there.
Yes.
There's something about our ascension that has to go through Antarctica. And I don't know if that's physically, mentally, emotionally, etherically, or what.
Yes, all of the above. I am getting some light language. So as many of you know watching, I also speak many different light languages. I do speak whale. I speak dolphin and dragon. So
just pop in, do it anytime.
So what happened was, once I started connecting more to the earth and traveling and doing the grid work, that's when the connection to the dragons and the whales and the dolphins started to come in. And so because I translate multidimensionally, it made sense to, connect and translate. There's so many worlds on the inside, including the mineral kingdom, of course, the crystalline kingdom, the mushroom kingdom, all of the different species that exist within. And, I just want to say, we know what's true. We feel it in our heart. These aren't aspects of seeing as believing. It's feeling feeling is believing, and that's really I just got chills.
Yeah.
To really remind everybody watching, especially now, what's about to happen, because these beings, these magical beings, are wanting to come out. They want to interact with us. This is this kind of final, I think, race that you're mentioning, because Antarctica is disclosure. I know you've had Sean Christopher on before, and he and I agree, and we have that conversation about Antarctica, and what is under the ice and what is being hidden. So makes sense.
The reason I find it so interesting more than anything else is because I've learned too, the hard way, in the relations with Morgan, that you've got to embody everything, right? So you have to embody everything. I didn't really start making progress till last year in my own mind, until I could embody sadness, anger, frustration, whatever the hell it was, instead of, trying to transmute it out and give it to the light. Like, get out of here.
It works for a little while.
Right? So, and so then you look at the world stage, and you look at QAnon and Trump and Russia and this and that and all this stuff, and you're like, that's like a movie. That's like an illusion. That's like a distraction. But then there's stuff like Inner Earth, Atlantis, Lemuria. What's the true history? What the fuck happened here? And there seems to be that part of the embodying. To me, there's a part of the embodying that's going to involve the collective. It's going to involve each and every one of us. And what is the true timeline?
Yeah.
Because what can the true timeline be but anything but the purest love and truth?
Yes.
So to me, it has to do with that. It has to do with Antarctica. And if I've researched anything that I've never really found any final solution on, it's all the stuff historically, the old maps, the Admiral Byrd trip. There was another explorer that went 5,000 miles past the South Pole. I mean, that stuff to me has never been solved. And to me, that's part of our mutual, integrated, non-physical and physical, magical existence. That's how I put it. Thank you for letting me say that.
I agree. Yes, thank you for sharing. And I just read recently, I think that's the guy that went on the inside, correct? He went on the inner and saw everything. Is that him?
Admiral,
his name? Well, Admiral, that might be him.
Well, Admiral Byrd did. Admiral Byrd went down. Okay, Admiral Byrd actually went on a few expeditions on the North Pole, and supposedly found the center there, a hole or whatever, and
that's
some stuff going on there. And then the South Pole, he went down a few times, and of course there's an autobiography, and he supposedly had it published after he died. I mean, with all the propaganda and psyops out there, it's hard to say what, but we know what resonates and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And but one thing that you can't take away from is that after World War II, there's a lot of substantiation that the Nazis went down to Antarctica, and they had whoever, reptilian help or whatever, and there's bases and this and that. Admiral Byrd went down, Operation High Jump, went down to Antarctica with a giant armada represented by 5 different countries, 4,000 soldiers, all these planes, and went down to Antarctica, supposedly on a scientific expedition, and came back 6 weeks later with a bunch of casualties, and no one ever talked about it. They got their ass kicked, basically. So there's something going on down there,
Giant.
Something going on. But I think it has more to do with our connection to the Agarthians.
Yes.
To those under Mount Shasta. I mean, I find myself sitting in mute. I'm in Lemuria. I know there's a reason I'm here. I know there's a reason Morgan and I activated places all over this island.
Yes.
And were initiated and had dimensional experiences. Something's going on. Everybody's role is vital. And I guess it's what I'm saying is it makes it difficult with the Antarctica thing, because is it part of the movie and the illusion, or is it something we're supposed to be locked into?
Well, I'll say this just from my own experience navigating all these different timelines, which Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt, Quetzalcoatl, which is the Mayan civilizations, all of these ancient, of course, the Egyptians. So all of these different civilizations essentially give us clues. And when we, our light body reaches that point of that frequency that matches, it unlocks that information. And so if you think of all of these different, realities as containing information that honestly we recorded, we're the ones who've put this into the grid, and so you could say it's us on these different dimensional realities. That's my experience. And leaving little clues, little blueprints, crumbs, so to speak, on how to solve what has happened on this planet and how to really fix it, which is really a big part of why I'm here in the physical in this time and space, is to assist in the transition, in the evolution of peace. So this really is a peace mission. This is, from my side, in all dimensional realities, we're here for peace. And many of us are here. Many of you watching are here. Like you said, we're all carrying different information. We all have different keys that unlock different levels of information. And then we're all coming together to collectively decide, what does that look like? We have to hold that space of peace. We together, and this is why through your show and Facebook and all the other connections, is to create this, cymatic, and I'm getting a lot of energy, so I think I'm going to speak something. But it's also
Hablo español.
It's a little more, it's probably more dragon right now.
Oh, I want to hear some dragon.
Okay, let's see what wants to come in for dragon. Okay. It's in my heart right now, so. And I just want to say dragons are really the original way showers. They are the ones holding the interdimensional frequencies as well as the whales. They operate outside of our dimension. That's why, you can't see them, but they are there. Of course, the whales also navigate inner earth. Ela kisa bohonai shana esa patiata. Kiano kansa chance shanarina esa pa. Chantu katse buchanse. Takado vahela esa morena. Yala hotyang kisa bato eshama ita. Tiambohona esa hacha sambacho tsaye. Tiambohona reti katse bushatapa. Tiambohona yala esa na esa pata. Chiando que se faria sapata, e la ri que se vari samana. That message was, they are really our guardians. They're guardians of Gaia, right? Where they are the guardians of this planet, and which includes the surface as well as the inner earth plane. Just like there's guardians of the galaxy, which are the galactic family, which many of us connected to. So they're the guardians of the planet, and they're the ones who have been portrayed, in so many ways as evil and destructive, and all of these different, aspects that don't exist really. So
absolutely. Well, last night I told you there was the two, whatever those were. You had the name.
I'm going to say offset is the word I'm getting, and
it was very it was very Egyptian with the big long
big head,
with a lot of like tight kinky hair is going up. Anyway, but at another point in the same level of I can only put it as visibility, apparition, materialization, there was a dragon. It was like they were over here and I'm having this conversation, and then on top of me was this dragon. And the dragon was like spitting out this, hey, this is no bullshit. Here we go. Pay attention. and it was a very it was a calming energy, but like the fortitude of the message was like,
Yeah.
you know, this is what we came here for. It just came back to the other thing that just came back to me too, because I want to go back to what you were saying earlier before you went into the dragon language, and thank you for that. But I want to relay this to you. I don't know why. So I was looking at this, what would be the ceiling, and I clearly saw Lyra, which I've never seen, Sirius, which I knew, Pleiades, Orion's belt.
Yes.
There was one other one. There was one. Arcturus. And then I saw one that I'd seen before here in the sky, which is the Eye of Taurus, which is Aldebaran.
Yes.
And when I said, because I was saying, okay, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? In other words, who's trying to come through? When I said that, it lit up. I mean, it just lit up, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is a stream of consciousness trying to reach you, and that's the way I see it. It's like the cookie crumb trail home. It's like the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
And that's what you're referring to. These things outside of us are guiding us in kind of a pre-planned way, but the real magic is here where we're at.
Yes.
Right? It's Valerie, it's Todd, and it's that present expression in that moment, you know.
Exactly. We're those receivers, you know, we're the step down receivers of this information. And as you enhance your abilities to connect, it's really just learning and attuning and trusting the receiving. It's the signals that we're receiving. And so that's really, as many, you know, once you start saying yes and you just keep opening without judging, without doubting, without, you know, saying, oh, that's not true, that can't exist. For me, I just, you know, my premise is everything exists. Who am I to say it doesn't exist? I go with how I feel. And we are evolving. The planets are evolving. Our entire solar system is evolving. It's all connected. And this is another thing. The planets are not fixed. Saturn is losing its rings. Things are shifting because we're shifting. And so it was this giant, you know, galactic symphony, I call it. Those were the words that came in. So it's a symphony of everyone involved on the inner Earth, on the surface, and in the galactic or cosmic realm. It's one big symphony.
It's in all the multiverses.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
We're just,
you know,
right. We're just
one of the things that I got last night, I had been getting it, but last night it was literally spoken to me when all that was happening. And it was speaking in a collective level, in my opinion. And it said something about, I can't get the first part right, but it was like, relax, chill out, chill the F out, you know, just take a deep breath. It's like something's changed. You guys are in receivership. It's exactly what you were just saying. And it was like, if you could visualize it, was like, just put your arms back, relax, take a deep breath. You're in receivership. So there's a lot of receivership is the way I was getting it going on. So much that the human brain isn't going to know about it every step of the way. You will get it at some point, you know?
That's
and so, I thought I'd mention that because that's what you were saying a second ago. Now,
go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, so in regard to the whales.
Yes.
The whales, I mean, if you look at their history here, it's you know, they're old as the dinosaurs are older, right? And they're such sentient creatures. I don't know much more about them than that. Like I've watched a couple of videos here and there, but you certainly pick up on the energy of the whales. What's your relationship with the whales? What do you know about them? And if you can turn us on to some whale light language rap, that's cool too.
Whale light language rap. The whales are keepers of the Akashic records. They hold the records for the planet. And because of my intimate connection with the Akashic Records starting in 2005 is when I had that remembrance of being a keeper of the records, being in Atlantis, communicating with, whales and other sea life. They started to speak to me and I started tuning into their language. So as keepers, holding the records, they're so important. They belong, they hold that space, just like I was saying earlier, they hold that space interdimensionally, but they do hold the records for the planet and all of the records, which is why they're so valuable. While they're so needed, and they would call to me to assist if they were being captured, to speak to the dolphins, to work together. And so they really, for me, have been that kind of guiding, force. And it was the whales who called me to the Big Island. Do you know that movie, The Whale Rider? Does anyone remember that movie?
Yeah, the chick,
right,
yeah.
The young girl, the Maori girl. That movie, I watched that movie, and I was crying uncontrollably. I just had such a pull. I had to go to the Big Island. This was last year, and that connection of remembrance, because they swim in and out of the inner earth. This is another piece, is they're not necessarily always in our ocean. They're also on the inside. They're on the inside waters.
Yeah.
So they're really carrying the blueprints for humanity. That is really energetically what they're for. And they are ancient. They're ancient beings.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt.
So
there's no doubt. Yeah. We when Morgan was here, we were like a mile from the town, so we just drive down there on the beach, and we're sitting there on the beach. And she brought this up the other day, a couple of days ago. So we're just sitting there, and a whale's tail just comes right out of the water, like in the context of our conversation, in the synchronicity of finding the flow, as we've been all doing over the last couple, 2-3 months, right? And then it came up again, and it's just like, wow, I mean, that's the stuff that we're missing. And it's not the literal, oh, I saw a whale's tail. It's all the energy and the message and everything that came with it. It's no different than looking at a starship.
Yeah.
Or a star and communicating with it. But this is closer to home. This is in the integration of the physical and the non-physical. So
yeah, they're protectors. They're very much protectors, and their presence is, along with the dragons, the signal. They're signaling what we're doing. We've called for help. Humans have called for help. That's why many of us are here, and many of us are doing what we do, because the calls went out. The calls went out into the cosmic field. It went out into the oceans and the inner earth, and Agartha, just going back to that, Telos, the city, they've been waiting for us to collectively reach a frequency of love, of unconditional love, so that they might interact with us again and not be harmed, because that's essentially what has happened on this planet. And so that's why the children who come in, the star children, they already talk with these different dimensional realities. And so it's only in that remembrance that, we recognize who we are. And it is that heaven on earth, like you're saying, we're in receivership. And that's what the dragons brought in. They would give gifts. I could feel it in my left arm. And they would just say, okay, we're giving you something, just stay put. And I couldn't even move my arm. The energy was so powerful going through it.
When was this?
So, so when I was in Kauai, which was in August, when
when did you get that feeling on your, was that recent? Or?
I just had it actually yesterday again. It just came in yesterday, but it first started when I was in Kauai, and that was in August of last year. And I received all the different dragon family, all the different dragon tribes were giving me gifts, and they were saying, thank you for coming. It was very much an honoring. It was You know,
Wow.
when I show up, it's for peace. I show up to align the galactic energies along with the inner earth energies. So that's
Yeah.
when I get called, because I carry both and have activated both those aspects.
So
So that
you were in
was,
Kauai.
yeah,
You were in Kauai.
yeah.
You know where Kapa'a is, right?
Yes, I was right. I was staying in Kapa'a for a few days.
Do
My
you know
friend
where
was
the
there.
do you know where the Kapa'a Athletic Club is? You probably
I think
don't.
I passed it. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was up and
So
down the street.
we're on an organic farm. They have 8 cabins, 4 apartments, 2
Oh, of course.
studios.
Oh, I think I saw that. I think I saw it
Yeah.
when I was looking for
It's
places.
up on the mountain. It's up
Okay.
on the mountain. But
Yeah. It's
so
beautiful.
and you know, I was going to tell you too, when I got over here after Morgan left, I think it was the equinox full moon night.
Uh-huh.
And I had briefly changed apartments. We were going to, you know, downsize the cost a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to this other apartment, and it's on the catty corner. Like, I'm looking at the ocean, and it's catty corner looking at the jungle. So I
Uh-huh.
went in there, and I had, I don't know, a week in there, and it was pretty interesting. It was a different vibration. It was what humans might say is darker, but there was no issue. Everything was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But one night, these 12 dragons showed themselves to me, showed me their colors, showed me their power, their memories, and like their skill, like their attribute, right?
Yeah.
And it happened really, really fast. But one of the messages I had gotten and had gotten before that, and I'd like for you to just give us your perspective,
Okay.
is they and I think you kind of said it already, but they have been here like since the beginning. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were like on the original ground crew. Like they were like
Yeah,
in
the way
the
showers, the original way showers.
yeah. That's the message I got from them. So it was
Yep.
like yeah.
Yeah.
I got no problem with dragons at all.
They're
I dig the
amazing.
dragon. Yeah.
They're amazing.
They're formidable, and you don't want to. You better have your stuff together when you talk to them.
Oh, they will
Yeah.
challenge you for sure. I mean,
That's what I feel.
I mean, I've worked with dragons for many years, but not on the land. So
Yeah.
that's you know, again, when you're tuned into Gaia, when you're working for her, you know, in service to Gaia, I say you're listening for what's happening. So when the quakes, you know, when Kilauea started going off, I, along with a lot of other, you know, grid workers, felt the call to go, you know, the land. And so a lot of times it's the dragons or the whales, they're calling in that frequency to rebalance what's happening.
Yeah.
And this is what we used to do as a shaman. You know, I'm a galactic shaman is what they told me. My guides told me, because I'm working in both realms to balance the frequencies, balance the natural destructive nature of this planet. You know, and that's another thing. This is part
The
right?
unnatural, the
Okay.
unnatural
Well, there's
destruction.
some unnatural, but also just the
Yeah.
natural, the natural movement of this planet. And
You
so,
know,
yeah, that's what we used to do is
I
mediate
agree.
frequencies.
You said something a couple of minutes ago, and this is another thing that I heard in my own experience over the last few days. I think it was last night, but I got this in no uncertain terms. It was like, you know, all these essences and all these faces of the universe or me were there, and some was very visual in the room and all this stuff. But I heard very clearly, connect to Mother Earth, like never before. Connect to her.
Yeah.
I mean, block everything else out and just focus on her. And I saw it in, you know, in images. And I saw the power of it, which I'm not going to be able to explain very well, but it was basically through her, you can reach all of this.
Yeah.
By trying to reach all of this, you're missing her. That's kind of how I'd put it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And, you know, I think we have to be reminded of that, because I did, that's how this journey started for me in 2012. was Gaia introduced herself. I was sitting on my porch and she introduced herself to me, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And and then everything started. Everything that I had agreed on to facilitate was beginning. And so on that pathway of connecting with the different energies, I did get kind of lost in the galactic, in the cosmic frequencies, and had to be reminded, had to come back to integrate, to understand the inner earth part. I hadn't really delved into that piece, but I really was reminded that it has to be that way. It's the only way for us to fully integrate, not only in our own bodies, but in her body, of
Makes
which
sense.
we are part of.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember when I woke up 7.5 years ago, I never really had done any channeling or anything like that, and it all started to happen.
Yeah.
And the one thing two things always happen when I close my eyes, and I think a lot of people can relate to one. I would close my eyes and just open up, and I would see the cosmos. You know what I mean? I'd see stars everywhere. I think a lot of people can relate to that. But the other thing that used to happen even more was I would close my eyes and I would be in these tunnels.
Yeah.
And I would be traveling down these tunnels. They almost look like wormholes.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was inner earth. And inside of it were all these images, all these different essences. I was familiar with all of them. There was dark, there was light, there was putrid, there was beautiful aromas. I mean, it was everything. But I remember that over and over and over again. And that recently has started to happen again in the last, I'd say, month. But instead of it being inner earth wormholes, it's actually inner verse. Like I don't mean to get gross or anything, but like inside of intestines but inside of a blood vessel, or just it's still the same thing, almost like neural pathways.
Yeah, the micro.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
I'm just putting it out there as I remember it, as you trigger me. I mean, I don't know why it needs to be said, but well, there's definitely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say back to you, but and please expand on this. There definitely seems to be some type of connection etherically, and I'm going to say less physically, more etherically, less the movie, more our true reality and nature with inner earth.
Yes.
That's not going to go away. And part of the embodying process is to embody everything Mother Earth, contains. So can you give us your perspective on that?
Yes, I can, because, as you were talking, what was coming to me is, the idea that this is all holographic representation, that all of this around us is a creation inside our own individual minds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, aren't we dreaming this dream together? Isn't that what this is about? I'm thinking of that movie, the blue people. In some sense, this waking life, what is the waking part? Is it when we go to sleep? Is that our actual reality? So right? These are really the questions of you can only answer this internally.
Well, here's what you're making me see. So it's the dreamer in the dream.
Yes.
It's the dreamer in the dream, yet there are these infinite number of fractals that have their own lineage that are at the same place, same time.
Yes.
But it's kind of like unconscious, and we don't know how they're all connected, which is the I don't know, the beauty of it. But so is this creation itself? In other words, creation had to do what first before anything was created? It had to think, it had to imagine, whatever you want to call it. This is where our power is, and maybe this is some part of the trip where the physical matter integrates with that non-physical.
Yes.
And that's what I wonder. I always wonder, are we part of a species or an experiment or whatever you want to call this, that's actually going to physically embody everything and as a collective overcome physical death, overcome any illusion, which would include any and all things and
Yeah.
ultimately death, because it's all tied to that.
I say yes. I mean, for me, that's really that's the reality of it. I mean, I've delved into a lot of these topics and share them, as many of us share. But I think ultimately, yes, when we talk about heaven on earth, isn't that have to be within? Don't we have to feel that sense of pure joy and pure love and pure peace? For me, that's what it's about. We're inhabitants of this planet. However we got here, whatever your belief is of how we got here, how we were created, what the evolution of our consciousness is, what the evolution of our species has been, because in some ways you could see the species and say, well, we haven't really evolved that much if you really want to look at it. We've had moments and timelines of evolved species like Atlantis, like Lemuria, even Egypt. Look at the abilities that they had and their cooperation with the cosmic sense.
Yeah.
Right. And even us, look at our ancestors. Didn't they work with the elements? Didn't they work with the dragons? Weren't they? It was a grand collective movement. So what happened? What happened? And in reality, are we just coming back in body, in these avatars?
Are we expanding? I mean, do not underestimate the power of one unique and equal soul, or the collective that they all comprise. I mean,
yes, I agree.
Okay, for instance, something that we might overlook, because I think we've made incredible progress on the linear timeline.
On the linear timeline, I agree.
We know it's nothing. But for instance, something like this: just having the physical manifestation, the internet, and all it brings. Even if I'm sending you a message with no pictures or imagery, and we're engaged in a back and forth conversation, does it or does it not? Is it or is it not enhanced dramatically because the physical is involved with it? Does our non-physical telepathic communication, signals, energies, whatever, aren't they incredibly expanded? And has this ever been done before? I don't know.
Well, yes, you're right. The technology, when you see technology, when you see this just tells you this is an interim system, because, well, of course, we're telepathic. Of course, we can speak to each other without a phone. We've had these abilities. We've had these aspects in physical. I'm going to say Atlantis was the most advanced civilization in the physical form, where Lemuria wasn't as physical. They were more in the etheric reality, but they did exist almost at the same time. So, we have had these. Now, did we get, bombed back to the Stone Age? Possibly. We've had cataclysms on the planet. The species has undergone, a very interesting trajectory. And again, depending on what you feel about how we were created, where we came from, you could look at the evolution as, something that has been hindered in some ways. Why was that? Why was it hindered? So I just feel like
I'm serious. I agree with you. I mean, I guess at some point, for me, I think we've got to a point now where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What happened? What's so freaking cool is the fact that a soul can't survive because a soul never dies. So we wake up, the dreamer in the dream, and not only are we the dreamer in the dream coming into their own awareness, but we're standing around 7.5 billion brothers and sisters, and a good part of them are getting it too at the same time.
Yeah.
We don't need a billion people to create a tsunami. We could do it with 144,000 or any variation of that number. You know what I mean? 1,444,000, whatever. I mean, this is the big time. This is why we came here.
I mean, 144,000 that are free, meaning free in the mind, free in the body, free emotionally. These are the aspects of creation that, we've had to deal with, because the species has been traumatized. I say that all humans have PTSD. on some level, only because there has been so much trauma. There's been a lot of war. There's been a lot of aspects that have traumatized our cells, our DNA, which is why in this expansion of the last, 10, 15 years, we have been, with the assistance of our star brothers, our, galactic brothers, our Earth family, our inner Earth family, all of the species, of course, the dragons, everyone, they are all part of us coming into our own, realizing that we are the divine human. We are, we have all of the abilities that we
We're
need.
the hero.
Yeah.
We're the hero. We're the universal soul.
The Shiro.
We're down here doing the work, and I love the dragons, and I love Archangel. I love everybody. We're doing the work
here.
And this is the part. The bigger, the less small we feel. I don't know why people keep calling me, man. But the less small we feel, the bigger that we become.
We're activated.
You said something. No. You said something a minute ago that was so on it, and I can't remember the exact words, but it's like all that stuff doesn't matter anymore. It was all meant to wake us up. The cookie crumb trail home. It's still there. It's still there. I see the cosmos or the stars as like an overlay.
Yeah.
That's been going round and around and round and around. Here's what's coming next. Here's what's coming next. Here's what's coming next. Now I know what's coming next. I'm bigger than that.
Yes.
I'm bigger. We're bigger than that. That was the ceiling on the game that we're in.
Yes.
The fishbowl, in this universe, in this multiverse. But I wanted to ask you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get on a tangent. My first shows, I'm always, but so I wanted to ask you in regard to Inner Earth, because we have not really on this show, 1,000 episodes, we have not had much of a discussion or dialogue about Inner Earth. And I think maybe we could jump into that a little bit. And I think of no better way than to ask you, okay, and you do whatever you want, whatever you might want to share about Inner Earth, any light language, any channeling, any transmission in this now moment, whatever. Okay. Whatever frequency that is, doesn't necessarily have to be a literal explanation. Okay. Whatever you want to offer in your connection and your relationship with Inner Earth, and just explain to us whatever you can about it. Then, okay. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as I said in the beginning, that frequency of the mineral kingdom, the connection to these aspects, is, we talk about paradise. For me, Inner Earth is that paradise. It is that pristine aspect of what is possible for us here on the surface. So I see it really as a blueprint for, what we are wanting. We are wanting to live in this peace with no war, no famine. Everything is balanced and beautiful. And that is what my experience has been. And I have had a lot of journeys to the Inner Earth. One was in this dragon realm, and a remembrance, and also of the hobbits, being very connected to the hobbits and the mushroom kingdom.
I like the mushroom kingdom.
Right. I do too. And, some of these aspects, these are medicines for us, as we know, the mushroom network, the psilocybin. I can never say that right.
Psilocybin.
Yes.
Psilocybin.
Those are coming forth because those are what connect us in this network. Yeah. This is what connects our brain. So all of these pieces, all of these tools, all of this medicine, it's not just haphazard that it's coming out, that people are using it. No. It's reconnecting us because we're at the point where we're ready for that reconnection.
Anything and everything is out there for us. Just like anything that's presented to us is giving us a message, but
we're ready. We're ready for it.
It's not just like that. That's one thing I noticed. So, and believe me, I love psilocybin mushrooms. Okay. I haven't done them in years, but, so all this stuff, these methods, the modalities, the plant medicine, the sacred books, the whatever got us to a certain point.
Yes.
But it's no longer the only way. It's no longer, in other words, our experience combined with all of that stuff, the Akashic, the physical stuff like I just described, all of that combined with our experience and our higher intuition, our higher ability to discern, this is where we're at now. You know, I mean, we have the ability to walk out to a lemon tree, pick a lemon and say, okay, I want you to enhance the psilocybin connection between the physical and the non-physical. Do something to me. Lemon water, whatever the case is. I mean, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is like, I mean, we're expanding the universe, showing the universe the things it's never done before. Has an archangel, has a galactic ever gone into a dense physical realm and body and gone through countless incarnations and transmuted and transformed a species into the highest dimension this universe has ever seen in that moment?
Yes.
I mean, that's a heavy chore.
It is, and it's you know, there's been like I said, many of us have come back into this reality from all dimensions and time frames.
Yeah.
Right? From the inner earth. Telos is coming to mind. You're talking about, you know, what is my connection? So inner earth, Shasta, Mount Shasta, starting to get that pull. And I started to receive communication from Adama, who's essentially the, you know, the Telos in Shasta, to calling on me to come there to work with the dragons. This was last 111. This was a lot of the twin energies were coming in. And so I answered that call and I went, and I'm just winging it. You know, when I get called, I just go with the flow. I bring on my tools.
What else can you do? You can't argue with the universe.
And, you know, got called to Twin Falls. I mean, all of these things that I had no clue until I got there on where to go. And it wasn't even about going inside the mountain. It was about prep work for what's coming. And so, you know, I have that connection because of Lemuria and because of that inner earth spectrum. I have some light language. I'm feeling to have whoever's watching who feels it, really to connect, you know, even putting your hand on your heart, to tune into the inner realm, which of course is within us. We are made of the earth. But really, you know, if you want to put your hand on your heart to connect to whatever you feel most drawn to on this inner earth plane. And if you're being called to a certain part of the world, to go, you know, this is really about your intuition and listening and trusting without the rational aspects getting in the way. And so that's what I'm being told to say as I do a little bit of a light language, kind of an activation, but really, you know, it's within the heart that you're going to feel it. Chanji sumachu vishanai sakate chanzo kahat ndachanzu shachanze chambukhunza bakaya satai sumanai shaputa kendo shachin zabakata tiandahale sahaye sabata tiambaruna sapati shari tiambarucha katsabakhanai sama tiambarunai kutukuchai shapatai ke ta lahi sabaruna marta chankanza itsushai sata il kiaungatela sabahiyepa. The message what I was getting was that was from the founders. There are a number of us who have come here from other realms, other dimensional realities, you know, to assist in this awakening. And so, you know, this is where the inner earth and the galactic and the cosmic all come together. And so it is with this love, this divine love for all of us, for our brothers and sisters. Yeah, we are the heroes. Thank you, Pauline. We are the heroes. And so, you know, as you expand, then you start to share that with everyone. And which is, you know, your show, Todd, which has been amazing. And like you said, the internet and Facebook specifically. So I don't care what you think about Facebook. It is a medium that has connected all of us. And our consciousness will inform what's next, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's saying, well, what's next? Where are we going to go next? Facebook's doing this. And it's us. We're the next.
I have an idea on that. I won't get into it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's lots of solutions coming too, that we're all part of in some way or another.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to get jiggy. Yeah.
Time to get jiggy with it.
So let it. So yeah, we'll have to get together again. We could talk about a lot of things. I wrote down 3 different things we could talk about for the whole show. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I wouldn't. For Morgan and I, it's just it's a direct flight. It's not that expensive. So I see us. You went off. Let's see. Hang
Okay.
on.
Maybe that was a confirmation.
I don't know. You know what? I just go with it. But yeah, I can see that happening. But I want you to tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh.
And what you do. If you do one-on-one sessions, if you do them on the net, only in person, whatever the case is, whatever you want to say.
Okay.
Or inform the audience of, and anything else you want to conclude with.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Of course, I'm on Facebook, and I do work with individuals. I do light language sessions and group trainings and group sessions. I've been doing this since 2005. I am being called into, larger groups, which is probably why I saw Mount Shasta, and really getting with individuals, in big groups to do activations, whatever needs to happen. Both on the galactic side, I've been talking with Sean about coming together, the galactic groups, and just being there so we can all attune to that specific frequency. So the best place to reach me is Facebook. I'm also going to be doing a activation with my beloved sister, Hani Borden, who you just had on a few days ago. We're going to be doing a 414 transmission, Hani and I. So, so reach out.
Wait, 414.
414.
9 days.
So the magic, I want to say magic is really what this is about. Magic is the inner earth. We're magic. And so that 414 gateway feels like a galactic gateway of magic. So
414 is a gateway.
414 is the gateway. Yeah. I just got that message yesterday.
I was going to say 411, 414.
There's a lot this morning.
419. Every day is
a gateway.
Every day's a gateway. Yeah. Every day's a gateway.
Every day's a gateway. That's it. This is the magic. I mean, that's all I can say. It's the feeling. It's being with everyone. I've said this before. If unless it works for all of us, it's not going to work for any of us. We are all in this together. And so all the solutions that you're seeing, all the communication that's coming through, it's for all of us to enjoy, not just some of us. That's the rebalance that's happening right now. So
just do it. Contagious. It's contagious, really. I'm serious. I'm serious. I think it's important, and we all have roles, and I obviously have a role.
Yeah.
Or talk or whatever, but so I mean this from an energetic standpoint. We don't need to talk about it anymore. We all kind of know what's happened.
Yeah.
And we're all being affected by this expansion. It's way beyond us, but we still run it. It's weird and it's perfect and it's great, but it's like being that,
we're being the frequency.
Yeah, just being it,
And now we want to be together in person. So I see the exodus offline. We've all gathered, right? Yeah. We've all agreed. We've all synchronized. Now it's time to go offline and meet in person and help everybody. Yeah, it's both. It's definitely
there's both. A lot of people coming together in the physical. I've done it. It's powerful. And if anyone does that, I would highly recommend, because it's all about activations,
Yep.
using the lower senses and the higher senses, if you will. But if you get into a situation like that, even it's like with Lindsay and Vera and Augusti, they had a meeting. Uh, Marco was there. Hank Verhaeren was there. It was 20 people.
Yeah.
But just put the video out, man. They didn't even talk. They just showed people dancing to show what was happening. They put a little text in it.
Yeah.
That's what activates people. This is what it's about. It's about living,
Yeah. It's living and helping each other and being there and tools. There's a lot of things happening. So we definitely have to talk again, because I've been working on some galactic tools, with others, and they're starting to come out. The decentralized.
Do they come in different flavors?
Yeah, they could. I mean, it's freedom. It's how do we?
No, I'm serious though. It is important, and I think
yours can, Todd. Yours will come in different flavors.
In this transition, no. In this transition, I think it's becoming imperative that we do need to go to our sister and get a session, and go to our brother. It's like, although we're connected to everything, we can accelerate this thing with being conscious of our opportunities, and we know what resonates. We know what feels right, and to go with that, because we're here to help each other. And so, I mean, I'm making a joke about different flavors, but there are different flavors. So whatever feels right, go with it. But definitely we need to cross pollinate.
Okay, I love it. Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in how long? 42 minutes with Mandy Deagle. It's gonna be good.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
I'll see
unicorn.
you. That's a big unicorn.
I know.
Okay.
It's a unicorn.
We'll see you.